She helps people. I do the same thing. I just do it on the ground.
And you've been with Oprah for a long time. And I think that relationships are difficult.
Reason why is because they gathered so much evidence. Was supposedly they gathered so many videos and laptops and also electronic devices.
Friend in your head, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, best friend forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
her man, Stedman Graham, wrote a book called Identity Leadership.
Okay.
And in the book, he reveals some of his secrets about the 30-year relationship he's had with Oprah.
Oh, this is the funniest thing, guys. You all know Stedman is really big.
You mentioned, that you've been with Oprah for a long time now.
I met a long time ago. She says this sometime.
Girl, let me tell you about the tea that's spilling all over the place. You know Oprah, right? That queen bee of daytime TV who's been living her best life for like forever. Well, honey, her world just got turned upside down, and it's all because of her man, Stedman Graham. Now, Stedman's been by Oprah's side for decades, but he's always been the quiet type. Standing in the background, letting his woman shine. But Chile, something's changed. The streets are saying Stedman finally opened his mouth, and what came out has Oprah shook to her core. Ye all ready for this? Cause I'm about to serve you the juiciest gossip that's got everyone talking. What could Stedman possibly say that would make the almighty Oprah lose her cool? Trust me, it's going to make your jaw drop.
Winfrey.
Yeah, best friend forever.
Yes, her man, Stedman Graham, wrote a book called Identity Leadership.
Okay.
And in the book, he reveals some of his secrets about the 30-year relationship he's had with Oprah.
All right.
And in Hollywood, I mean, a 30-year relationship, that's like a couple of lifetimes.
They're not married.
Especially with someone as powerful as Oprah.
Yes.
So he goes on to say, the thing about our relationship is I want the best for her. So I'm dedicated to her happiness. So that's great for her, and I want her to be the best she can possibly be, and she's done a pretty good job of doing it.
Do you hear that, Frank? You hear that? That's how you're supposed to talk to a significant other or a spouse. You want what's best for her. You want her to be happy.
That is wonderful, Stedman, but this is so passive-aggressive because then he goes on to say this.
Oh.
For me, I've been able to find my own happiness. Like, nobody's helping him find his happiness. He's helping Oprah find all hers. He's finding his own happiness.
You're reading into that too much.
No, he goes on. For me, I've been able to find my own happiness and develop my own skills, my own talents, my own abilities, and I'm satisfied with that. So the combination, when you have a good partner that's able to self-actualize their potential and you're able to self-actualize yours, 1 and 1 equals about 6.
Oh!
The only thing you don't see there are the tears on the paper.
It sounds like Oprah's absence made him stronger.
Or maybe to make him happy, she gets home from her powerful day and looks at him and goes, "You get a BJ, you get a BJ."
Girl, let me tell you, the tea is so hot it's practically boiling over. So picture this Stedman, Oprah's man for like a million years, suddenly decides to spill the beans on national TV. Can you believe it? The man who's been quieter than a mouse in church all these years just up and decided to start talking. Now the streets are saying Stedman showed up on this late-night talk show, looking all dapper and mysterious. The host starts asking him about his life with Oprah. The usual boring stuff. But then, Chile, things took a turn. Stedman starts talking about how life with Oprah ain't all it's cracked up to be. He's there, cool as a cucumber, telling the whole world that living with Oprah is like being in a circus 24/7. Can you imagine? He's saying stuff like, it's not easy being with someone who's always in the spotlight. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a prop in her show, but wait, it gets juicier. Stedman starts spilling about how Oprah's always working, always on her phone, always planning the next big thing. He's like, I love her, but sometimes I wonder if she even notices I'm there, girl. I was clutching my pearls.
Well, it's knowing how it can empower you and your ideas and where you're going and who you want to become and not be stuck in just thinking that you're all of that, know, and you're not, because once you stop playing ball, really not that many people care.
Right.
So you got to make it work for you, and that's what social media should be doing for everybody, is making it work for you as opposed to, again, the reverse.
So you also wrote Teens Can Make It Happen, 9 Steps to Success. How does the concept of identity differ for this younger demographic?
Well, that's a great question. Again, I go back to how we learn. I'm trying to get a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old young person to understand they have 80 years left. And if they could take those 80 years and learn how to apply everything to what they love and what they're passionate about, what's meaningful in their life, that they really have an opportunity to improve. I mean, you're going to really be successful if you're a better person today than you were yesterday, and you just keep growing, and you're learning, and you're a lifelong learner, and you're a reader. You keep reading all the time, and you're focusing on setting goals, and you understand the process of success and how it works, and you're focusing on what you love. And you tie that to business, and you tie that to social media, and you tie that to all those things that will empower you based on what's possible for you, and you have access to a global marketplace. And everything you learn from now on, you can begin to organize it through a cognitive ability to be able to download content that's relevant to your talents, to your skills, and to your passion. If I can get you to understand that at 10 or 11, man, that's a pretty good process for building and designing your own future.
Yeah, I mean, changing the trajectory of someone's life at that age, I mean, you can't put a price on that. I mean, it's like you said, it changes them forever and can benefit them greatly.
Yeah, and the process works, especially for, some athletes who are young. They start at what, 6, 5, and 4, and they learn the process of how it works.
Yeah.
And by the time they get 11 or 12, they're like killing them.
Yeah.
And that's when so it's the same process for me as trying to get young people to understand their empowerment at an early age.
So similar question to sports, these young people now, I mean, I couldn't imagine kind of growing up with social media the way it is now back when I was a kid or a teen. Kind of similar question that we did for the athletes. How do these young people deal with social media when they can't necessarily like start a business or use it for work?
Well, I think they have to. It's tough. It's a very difficult thing when you're dealing with social media and you don't know what it does, or the purpose of it, or how it affects you, and the algorithms are set up and designed to hook you, and all of that. So I think you just have to. Boy, hopefully you have good parents who understand, how to monitor some of that. But again, it is a valuable tool because it has so much information. Again, I go back to not everybody's going to get this, but making sure you understand who you are so you can apply the information to your development and create something that you can control as opposed to it controlling you. And so that's an awareness process, That's raising people's consciousness about that, which we're trying to do in schools. And in students we do. I mean, we have a program in Mississippi that we're working on, and man, those young people there, they're in STEM programs, and they're smart. And boy, to be able to eliminate all the labels that they have to deal with, I mean, through this process of identity and understanding who you are, it's just really so rewarding to see them, the light bulb go off, and not be defined by their parents and not be defined by their circumstances, which can be very difficult for them sometimes.
Yeah, and that kind of answers the second question as well about, how do you educate parents and educators in order to help children, think more about identity versus.
Well, you have to have curriculum, and so you have to have the books and the content, the materials, and everything else. And then we set it up as a train-the-trainer program.
So there are projects in there that you're doing, and
yeah. It's the execution of this work that you spend a lot of time on. How do you actually get it into a system that you can deliver to these schools and organizations, anywhere.
So another great sports kind of reference right here: move without the ball, put your skills and your magic to work for you. The title itself, Move Without the Ball, it signifies being proactive when, the spotlight isn't necessarily on you. Can you share a personal anecdote where you felt you were without the ball and in life, and how you positioned yourself strategically in order to get out of it?
Well, I think when you stop playing, you're, first of all, as a ball player, you're used to people cheering you all the time, and you're spoiled and all of that. And so, man, move without the ball for me is going into the service, man, and having to clean latrines and, with a toothbrush and all of that, and really getting down and dirty around what life could be, and what life was at that particular time. So that was Move Without the Ball for me. Move Without the Ball for me was learning business. Move Without the Ball for me was traveling around, seeing the world. And then the beautiful thing about Move Without the Ball is that you know how to move with the ball, but you also know how to move without the ball. And that really has been my life, is learning how to move without the ball, and that without people, clapping and yelling for you because you're making some baskets, but to be able to be good on the court, but also off the court, you're just as good. So that's my hope and dream. I think that's where Kobe was going, He's trying to be just as good off the court as he was on the court in different fields because he wasn't playing anymore before his unfortunate mishap. So I think that's the key for athletes, because the athletes have it. They have the ability to be able to do that. They can process, they're smart, all of that. I don't know if they have the information a lot of times, but certainly they have the wherewithal to make it happen.
And then what's kind of one of the most important ways athletes can maintain a sense of self and maintain a strong identity, while society might only view them through one lens?
Being able to take control of their own development, I would say be a reader, be a learner, try to focus on what you're going to do, not while you're playing, but what you're going to do after you stop playing. Have some game plan. So not just have a game plan for being on the court, being on the field, but have some game plan for when it all ends, which is really the key. So you can leverage, there's a word called leverage. You're leveraging the opportunities that you have while you're playing, So to me, that's very important and critical.
Stedman looks right into the camera and says, "Oprah and I haven't shared a bedroom in years. I mean, can you even?" The whole studio audience went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Now everyone's wondering why Stedman decided to air all this dirty laundry. Is he tired of being in Oprah's shadow? Is he trying to get more attention for himself? Or maybe he's just had enough of keeping secrets and wants to live his truth. Some folks are saying Stedman's got a book coming out, and this is all just to drum up some publicity. Others think maybe he and Oprah are on the rocks, and this is his way of getting back at her.
To be able to source the resources of the world through having a vision bigger than your circumstances, okay? To be able to plan it out, work every single day. You got to be a hard worker, okay? To have a strong value system, right? And to be able to focus on those barriers of success that hold you back, building a team, being able to, again, source content by organizing information. You become a reader and creating a lifestyle around that. So again, I go back to the power versus the powerless. So how are you going to be empowered so that you, outdistance the 99% of the people where are they going? They're not going anywhere. They're stuck. So, it's really about deprogramming yourself and realize, again, I go back to it's not how the world defines you, it's about how you define yourself, and being able to work on yourself as a way to establish a privileged life.
So last social media question, I promise, but I thought this was, very applicable to the book of, you mentioned labels are distorting our view of the world and our place in it. And in today's digital age with the prominence of social media, kind of how can we work to move beyond these imposed labels and cultivate authentic self-representation?
I don't know how you do it unless you have an identity.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it unless you're focusing on what you're doing, which is to find out who you are, working on that every day, right? Because it takes a while, and figure out what you do well, and to do it over and over and over to where you become an expert in your field, so that you can outdistance everybody else who are doing what? What are they doing? They're not going anywhere for the most part because they're stuck in a mindset. And so, again, when you start to change the learning system around where everything becomes relevant to building value, then you're not stuck in that box. You know, you're able to not be defined by the labels or how other people see you, but the only thing that's important, because I use this in my own life, not being defined by labels, and people try to put me in a box, and you know, especially me, and you know, in regards to my relationship. And so what I try to do is not worry about how other people define me, but how I define myself, and that's what's important.
But Sheely, who knows what's really going on in that man's head? Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure, Stedman's not holding back anymore. He's out here telling the world that being Oprah's man ain't all private jets and fancy parties. It's like he's finally decided to step out of Oprah's shadow and into the spotlight himself. And you know what? People are eating it up. Social media is going crazy. Everyone's talking about it. It's like Stedman's become the hottest celebrity overnight. Who would have thought that quiet man would end up being the one to shake up Hollywood? So there you have it, honey. Stedman's gone and opened Pandora's box, and now the whole world's watching to see what happens next. I don't know about you, but I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to see how Oprah's going to react to all this tea being
So
spilled.
speaking of relationships, how do your theories on identity and success apply to couples in relationships where, you know, you can feel comfortable working on your own identity and your own self, but also being a part of a team?
That's beautiful. I mean, you said it. So to be able to be comfortable with yourself, be happy with what you do, doesn't have anything to do with somebody else is doing. So you're not jealous, you're not angry, you're not upset because somebody is, you know, more successful than you, or whatever the case may be, because you're happy with yourself. That's what we're talking about.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I think we can all relate to that, right? I mean, it's like no matter where you are or who you're with, there's always some sort of, you know, question of, is that person being their authentic self, and do I want to be in this relationship?
And strength being, you know, I mean, only the strong survive. You know, that's I always talk about that in my speeches. But you're strong when you're strong. You're not strong because you want to make yourself be strong. You're strong when you do the work. You're strong when you have a vision that you can apply to your life every day. You're strong when you're focusing on what you do well. You're strong when you focus on love. You're strong when you are when you put the 24 hours of work in, and when you're strong when you organize your life. You're strong when you are able to take information and make it relevant to your development. You're strong when you work on your weaknesses. That's when you're strong. You're not strong because you just want to be strong, or just because you think you should be stronger than the other person. So you got to earn the right for that.
Then have there been examples of, and have you used kind of your own principles of identity with?
I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it or deal with some of the issues I've had to deal with throughout my life without following the 9-step success process. Okay, I follow it. I created it for myself. And what I do is I don't worry about how the world defines me or how other people define me. I work on me.
Yeah.
I develop me so that the more I have, the more I can give. I can contribute more because I'm working on me and building value in my own life. So it's the value you want to build in your own life, not waiting for somebody to give you that, or having somebody else determine your value. Create your own, build your own opportunities, source your own talents, find out what you do well and work on it, and search for it. And then what will happen, you'll develop this process for continuous improvement, and you'll improve and you'll grow and you'll develop and you'll build, and you're pretty much, you're not your circumstances, you are your possibilities because of the work that you put in. It's the work that you do when you work on yourself. So we're just trying to change this around so that you begin to understand the importance of you and how you can begin to build whatever you want based on.
Sell me, Missian. Girl, you thought Stedman spilling the tea was wild? Just wait till you hear about Oprah's reaction. The queen of daytime TV ain't known for losing her cool, but honey, this time she went off. So picture this: Oprah's chilling at home, probably sipping on some fancy tea, and living her best life when her phone starts blowing up. Everyone and their mama is calling to tell her about Stedman's little chat on national TV. At first, she's like, nah, why all must be tripping? My Stedman would never, but then she sees the clips in Chile. That's when the storm hit. The streets are saying Oprah lost it like we've never seen before. We're talking full-on Hollywood diva meltdown. Sources close to her are spilling that she was screaming so loud the neighbors thought World War III had started in her living room. Now we all know Oprah as this cool, collected queen who's always got it together. But this time, honey, she was throwing things, cussing up a storm, and threatening to end Stedman's whole career. It's like all those years of keeping it cool just exploded at once. Some folks are saying she was yelling stuff like, after all I've done for him, this is how he repays me. I made him, and I can break him, girl. Can you even imagine Oprah talking like that? It's like seeing your grandma at the club. Just doesn't compute.